Welcome back to Good Revenue. I'm your host, Neetha Bidway. We're going to talk about AI thinking, tech governance, budget cuts, and investor innovation. As always, you can find links and data in the show notes, and we would really appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button while you're watching. Thank you for joining us. First up, thinking versus influence. Apple just released a paper called The Illusion of Thinking, which is really interesting. And it found that the reasoning of AI models collapses when it comes to complicated problems. For example, the Tower of Hanoi. Their research found that there were 3 zones of work. AI succeeded at simple problems, had challenges in the medium range, and completely failed at complicated problem solving. Now, critics are noting that this isn't a great basis for the determination of thinking because they're arguing that LLMs are inherently limited by the number of tokens that they can use in their reasoning. If you've been here before, you know that we are super interested in the research around AI. And so it might be worth going back to check out some of the other research papers that are in this sphere of topics, because I think that Apple might be onto something. All of this is also really interesting because Apple, out of all the big tech companies, has invested the least in AI. And so one wonders if this analysis and research is the reason for that, or if it's the justification. Now, another group of researchers theorized some more concerning possibilities. A recently released preprint called Malicious AI Swarms Can Threaten Democracy noted that coordinated AI agents are capable of executing advanced disinformation campaigns. Unlike current bots, these AI swarms would be adaptive conversationalists with distinctive personas. So as a consequence, they would be able to fabricate consensus, to harass people, or target them, and also to manipulate voters overtly. Training data could also be contaminated because you'd be able to flood the web with false information that would be very difficult for any independent observers or even good actors to try to counter. Mitigation suggested by this group includes platform defenses, model safeguards, and system oversight. And when it comes to model safeguards, you may remember that this echoes some of the concerns highlighted by both Microsoft and JP Morgan, which we discussed in recent episodes. In the end, AI doesn't need thinking to cause headaches, which raises the question, who actually gets to decide what counts as a headache worth preventing? 2 countries, same AI risks, opposite reactions. We're talking about South Korea and the United States. South Korea recently forced Alipay to delete an AI model that was trained on illegal data. It eliminated an entire system. You may also remember that South Korea banned DeepSeek after this privacy regulator found that data held by DeepSeek was stored on servers in China. South Korea's regulator is requiring explicit user consent, detailed records, and the ability to completely delete data if required by the regulator. In contrast, America is doing something else entirely. We have a new cybersecurity executive order this week, which you might be forgiven for missing given everything else in the news. It rolls back Biden-era secure software requirements. It also removes digital ID initiatives and post-quantum encryption mandates. And finally, it ends AI-powered cyber defense programs. It remains to be seen what the implications are, but as you can see, there's a huge philosophical divergence here, not just a policy difference between the 2 approaches. And while governments are debating the best approach to AI governance, budget cuts are everywhere. Up next. Cuts, cuts, cuts. Unfortunately, I don't think this is the last story we're going to share with you along a similar theme. But in June, and keep in mind, we're not even halfway through the month as we record this, 160 companies announced layoffs. Some of the major players, Microsoft with 6,000 workers cut globally. Intel is cutting 20% of its workforce. Procter & Gamble has announced 7,000 jobs will be cut, and McKinsey is trimming 10% of its staff. The sectors that are primarily affected as of right now, retail is close to 76,000 cuts. That's a 274% difference from last year. Tech, 62,000 jobs have been cut in the past 5 months. And in healthcare, investment funding is down 57%. Biotech, as you may know, has been in deep trouble the last 2 years. And unfortunately, the cuts in federal spending are likely to exacerbate this in the future. The New York Times just reported this week that more than 2,500 medical research grants have been cut by the administration. This includes significant cuts to diseases like cancer, diabetes, and Alzheimer's, which have touched almost everyone's life at this point. As scientists are noting, this threatens the alliance between government and the scientific community. And you didn't think we would let you leave without something on the tariffs. The US and China are sitting down at the table again in London. We'll see what comes from that. Speaking of rearranging those deck chairs, we have some investment updates for you next. VCs are trading their existing investments instead of looking for new ones. PitchBook reports that VC-backed secondary markets are at historic levels, $60 billion, as unicorns are stuck in private markets. PitchBook is also reporting that 75% of VC-backed acquisitions are startup to startup. And we've talked a little bit about this before, but these are companies like OpenAI and Databricks. And our third story, Lightspeed has just become the latest firm to become a registered investment advisor. That's an RIA. They're following in the footsteps of Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, and General Catalyst. And the benefit of this registration over the conventional VC structure is that it enables public markets access, more freedom in the crypto space, and secondary deals. Venture capital is very much focused on the present and less so on the future. As always, thank you for joining us, and we will see you here soon. Thanks for listening. If you liked what you heard, leave us a review, subscribe to the show, or check out another episode. We appreciate your support.